start here.
And not
Starting
so open
now.
Strait of Hormuz.
Oh, it's the good morning. I see we're 2 minutes late. We're not actually 2 minutes late. It was imperative that I get a cup of coffee in my Canadian mug because I'm leaving Canada today. I'm heading back to my home in New York, and hopefully I will be sporting a bunch of different mugs today. I'm Malcolm Nance.
And
I'm your host of
Malcolm,
the Black. Oh, whoa, yes.
that Canada mug is also because Canada beat the Qataris 6-0 at the World Cup last night.
Whoa, 6-0. Canada.
It's a tennis tie, wasn't it?
Yeah, tennis tie. A 6-0. Well, the World Cup applies. It just happened to favor Canada. Um, so and to tell you how universal the World Cup is, by the way, this is the Black Man Spy, U.S. Iran. I have no earthly idea what's going on, cast. I should call it the SOH is OOB, right? The Strait of Hormuz is out of business again. We are in another nacho, not a chance Hormuz opens situation. But when I was in London the other day, I was walking down the street and I saw this guy and he just looks at me and he goes, "Are you following the World Cup? Did you see that Cape Verde beat Mexico?" I'm like, God damn. The guy just had to tell something. He's a university professor at City College. No, at University College London. I was walking near Gordon Park. And he was just like, he just had to tell me. He's just anybody, like I'm from Cape Verde. I said, I'm representing the stupid part of the World Cup. Yeah, the host that's arresting you when you land on my country's shore. So, but anyway, I'm Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spy, day 114. The war count continues because there is no ceasefire and there is no memorandum of understanding that has been affected and has transitioned to the 60-day negotiation period that failed yesterday. And we will get into all of that, plus the World Cup, plus the plunging price of oil, which, as I saw this morning, Brent North Sea crude was at $77.70 some cent, which is amazing, down from 112 just 3 weeks ago. But that being said, let me introduce my co-host, Jacob Carsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, who's sporting one of our Defense Intelligence Ukraine T-shirts, of which I have several since I worked for GUR in my first few months in Ukraine, thinking up clever things to do to the Russians. And then on our other hand, we have Wajeeh, the gay lion, sporting from Minneapolis, Minnesota, our Fez aficionado. And I just want to say good morning to both of you gentlemen on behalf of everybody else. But it's been a crazy 24 hours. I have been up since 2 a.m. Eastern time trying to make sense out of what's going on. And the best that I could get is shit's fucked up.
It's fucked up. It's completely fucked up.
What did I tell you?
Malcolm, sorry that I interrupted your intro, but
Yes.
but it was just very important to give Canada the full credit for that spectacular display now that you had the mug. And I will also say there's a reason why I'm wearing my GUR T-shirt and sporting the fuck you mug, fuck Putin mug. Why? Because the Ukrainians have decided not only to set Moscow on fire yesterday, the drones are back this afternoon. So expect more footage from burning Moscow tonight.
The Russians were bragging that they shot down 200 Ukrainian drones yesterday, which must be, we have this. Sorry, I just turned the lights on. We have this technique when we launch masses of fighter planes to get them up in the air. It's called an elephant march. And they launch 4 at a time, wingtip to wingtip. And for the Ukrainians to put 1,000 of those beaver drones up in the air, they're big. They're not small at all. They've got like 500-pound warheads. they must be elephant marching them to the runway, and there's got to be like
Yeah.
100 at a pop, and they all take off 4 or 5 at a time. And I understand they fly autonomously to their target, and
Yeah.
then they're controlled, or they already have a pre-programmed target set inside. But I was watching video of the Russians shooting down those drones yesterday at the target, and all of the drones were falling into the target and destroying things. And that famous video of the Russian oil tank blowing its lid up into the air was not from a Ukrainian drone. And you can see it. It's a Russian surface-to-air missile that goes, arcs, detects the heat from the pumps in the oil tank, and goes right in and blows up what is easily a 10,000 barrel oil tank. And while the Ukrainians are blasting that refinery in downtown Moscow.
And Malcolm, in an old Soviet expression, is brotherly assistance. You know, when they were when they were occupying Poland and Hungary, it was brotherly assistance. Now this was a brotherly assistance from the Russians, and the footage coming out of guys shooting manpads across the roads where cars were driving by on the highway and launching mad bats across the highway. Oh shit! It
And
was
you're sitting
funny.
there thinking, well, if I'm not a drone, I'm safe. Well, not in fact. The one that flew into an apartment complex was clearly jammed from Russian
Yeah,
electronic warfare, because it
yeah.
changed course and went into the building. Or once again, satellite imagery being what it is, if they thought the drone was higher than the building. But I think more damage was done by the Russians than the Ukrainians. But they set Moscow's largest oil refinery on fire end to end. And now I understand all throughout the Moscow region, the Volga region, 5 gallons of gas. That's all you can get per day. And you got to wait in line for hours to get that. And they will, oh, by the way, they will not let you stand there with a tank. So 20 liters, that's it.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
walk up with
exactly.
a tank to get it filled either. You got to bring your car, burn 2 gallons of gas to get 5 gallons of gas. Moscow is coming to a standstill. Okay, that's fun and exciting and interesting. And tomorrow, since I'll be home, I can wear my good shirts. We can have a special Ukraine Defense Intelligence from my boss, Minister General Budanov. But let's get back onto the
Yeah,
It's Just a Fantasy U.S. Warcast that we're dealing with. Ball of confusion, I call it. The question is, somebody made a brilliant analysis of what's going on with this memorandum of understanding. The MOU is really just an RSVP for the negotiations that were supposed to start yesterday not in Geneva, in a place called, I think it's Buchholz or something, place like
yeah,
that, on a lake in Switzerland.
yeah.
The Iranians, hours before J.D. Vance was about to take off, and good morning to all of you who celebrate Juneteenth, the Liberation Day for African Americans in Texas who didn't get the word when it was signed in April till June, because, Texans. Happy Juneteenth. That being said, the memorandum of understanding is signed. It was signed by Donald Trump 2 days ago as an instrument of surrender in Versailles.
Yeah.
These two stupid
I have a
understandings.
comment. I have a comment in the Danish version of the FT today, where I call it a capitulation paper, and it
Yep.
was quite fitting that Trump signed it at Versailles itself, and the big thing really that few people have noticed is that point 13 says that most of it is null and void if Trump doesn't convince Bibi to
Right.
respect Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty. And that's why I wrote this might come to naught because Trump, well, is likely won't be able to convince Bibi to stop what he's doing in Lebanon. And there we
Well,
are.
it's funny you should mention it because since Israel, I have a whole section on Israel attacking Lebanon and the U.S. relationship related to this. This morning, the IRGC announced the Strait of Hormuz, she is closed. As of a couple of hours ago, the Strait of Hormuz is officially closed. If you don't believe me, for those of you who speak Farsi, you can listen to the IRGC announcement itself. They are saying, and they read it, I'll read it to you right now. This is from my good friend in Israel, OSINT Defender. Good guy, does awesome. And that is the IRGC reading this statement across International Bridge to Bridge Channel 16, International Channel 16. Since Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon, the complete lifting of the naval blockade, and the withdrawal of American terrorist forces from the Persian Gulf and the
What
region
did
are
I
among
tell
the
you?
main conditions of the agreement between Iran and the United States. The Strait of Hormuz will remain closed until these conditions are met. All ships are requested, for the sake of their security and safety, not to approach the Strait of Hormuz. Any vessel that defies this directive will be targeted. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The Islamic Republican Guard Corps of Iran. No, they didn't say that last part, but that's exactly what they meant.
And what is then happening with the Iranian oil? The Iranian oil is getting to the market, an estimated 80 million barrels of crude. The Iranians have been able to market, and that is an estimated $1.44 billion that they have
To be
managed to
to be
to
pers- to
generate.
be
Why
to
not?
be
There's no
precise,
blockade.
the first ships that crossed the Strait of Hormuz are all priority ships that Iran considered to be their own priorities. Anything else comes next. Whatever Iran considers to be their own number one priority passes, and then everything goes next. What did I tell you yesterday and the day before and the day before? If the United States cannot control the one thorn in this whole deal, which is Israel, and cannot control the actual peace process, there is no MOU. And today, we see the fact how things play out when you have not worked out the small details that actually matters. There's something called 80/20. Sometimes if you solve 20% of the problem, you solve 80% of the whole issue. And if you don't focus on getting your shit done between you and the Israelis and having them getting in line and actually having some leverage over Netanyahu, you essentially don't have leverage over the Iranians. Who actually have leverage here and who should be negotiating at this point is the Iranians and Netanyahu instead of Trump.
You would think. However, we had this discussion, and this is a good example of what's going on in Lebanon. We had this discussion that in the minds of Netanyahu, he is completely decoupled from this war. As far as he's concerned, the U.S.-Iran war is done. Operation Roaring Lion is complete as far as he's concerned.
More
Operation
like a
now I get
roaring
to kick
cat.
Hezbollah's ass, and now I get to fight Iran independent. Those are different operations to him now. The war is over in his head. So the phrase decoupling is not Washington decoupling from Israel. Israel has decoupled from us. As far as they're concerned, fuck you and your agreement to Iran. It is not operative for Israel. And here's a good example of it. These are flares going up over southern Lebanon last night. When you see those flares, you know what's coming next, right? Rockets and artillery. I learned that when I was 19 years old in Beirut. When the Israelis start putting up flares, that's forward observation and something's coming down on you. And of course, they struck 80 targets last night in Lebanon in an aerial and ground warfare blitz against Hezbollah and the villages of southern Lebanon. That is the actual big story today, not Trump, not the MOU. That's a minor side story now, because the entirety of what's going on can, in fact, take us back to the pre-MOU period. I don't think the Iranians are going to do that. The Iranians are loving what they got. They got Trump eating out of their hands, telling the world, actually defending them on the world stage, that they need
At the
missiles.
G7.
They need ballistic missiles because it's not fair if they don't have. They got like 20,000 ballistic missiles. Here, Saudi Arabia has like 20. And, you know, it's crazy.
That's it.
I don't know if you talked about this yesterday, but he also said, we only had 4 weeks of oil reserves left.
There's the truth. There is the truth. We talked about this for weeks, that the United States was about to go through a what did the guy call it? Bottom of tank bottom shock, where, yeah, we're pumping oil, but it's being consumed instantly. And that 2 billion barrel or 2 million barrels a day deficit is just, it's just collapsing the entire U.S. economy. I told you there were a bunch of oil industry devils on his shoulder who were going, forget Netanyahu, forget those guys. Things are going to get really bad. Every dollar we ever made is going away. And Trump finally listened to them. And like the whiny little whiny-ass titty baby he is, he went begging to the Iranians. Begging. I told you he was desperate, but he had to listen to Hegseth first, right?
Yeah.
You got to negotiate with bombs, boss. That didn't bring anyone to the table.
But I have to admit that I completely failed to foresee that Trump would get up on the stage at the presser at the G7 and said, we were running out of oil reserves. That is all I had to do. This is a fabulous deal. But the Iranians, it was a few weeks before the global downturn, etc., etc. He came clean. He admitted. He admitted it was complete capitulation right in front of us.
We have been saying this for months, that was the bottom line. That he was so desperate that there was something going on, and the something going on is we were coming to tank bottom. And he was just like, well, I mean, this is what happens when you're old.
Yeah. But I didn't foresee that he would just say it out there for everyone to see.
It.
And I mean, it's completely ridiculous to see all these Trump apologists. They completely deny this, and it's like, well, he said it himself.
Yes. Well, in the meantime, getting back on track. This is Margaret Brennan. The planned talks between the U.S., Iran, Qatar, Pakistan have been postponed. Switzerland remains ready to facilitate these talks. The relevant preparatory work at Bergenstock is continuing. No further information can be provided at present from the Swiss Department of Foreign Affairs. Here, I know what they're doing, right? They're putting out those cute little notepads. And, when you go to a European conference, there's 2 bottles of water in front of everybody, one Sprudel, right? One sparkling bottle of water and one bottle of Swiss still water, and always 2 glasses, and they have a pen right there, and they have a Rhodia block, notepad that's right there. That's the preparatory work that they're doing. They're putting out the sparkling water and the still water, and nobody's in the room.
I will say, though, that Birkenstock is a very high-end resort. I was there 10 months ago briefing a bunch of Danish bankers. Way out of my pay grade and league in terms of of expenses, but it's a very flashy resort. So it's not. It's a bit more than their Sprudelwasser und
Yeah, no, Sprudelwasser and Stillwasser. Those are intelligence indicators of an extremely high-end meeting. Okay, I've been to some. I've been to some places where the Arabs were there in Europe, and boom, when those bottles come out and they bring in a completely automated 10,000 euro espresso machine and they sit it in the corner, then you know shit's happening, right? And they usually have women in white tops and black skirts who come over to you and go, "Can I get you something to drink?" You know what
Next
those
time you
meetings.
guys go there, you have to take me with you. I found out I can get something called a traveling document. Since
Okay.
I'm a political.
Jacob, we got to get our political consulting company together because you're handling way too much of this fun stuff without us. So,
That's
and our
right.
perspective, they'd be getting 3 for 1. Okay, let's move on. Israel attacked Lebanon ruthlessly yesterday. 80 targets were struck. They had 18 Lebanese were killed. But in a surprising turnaround of events, this week, the Israelis, after about a 4 to 5 day delay, are starting to put out their casualties from drone attacks. I saw a drone attack last week where it clearly was going to wound this group of 6 Israeli soldiers that were sitting around in plastic beach chairs. And they didn't notify anybody about the wounded until yesterday, that this group of soldiers was hit by an aerial drone. But they did notify everyone that yesterday 4 Israeli army soldiers were killed in an attack. They didn't say what kind of attack it was. It was most likely a suicide drone attack. The only question is, was it a tank like a Merkava, which has 4 seats in it, or was it 4 dudes that were out there? But you know what happens? One Israeli soldier, as far as they're concerned, is worth the life of 1,000, of their enemy. So they are on a mass murder spree, revenge spree. And to make clear that that's exactly what was going to happen, don't believe me, believe this guy. This is Defense Minister Katz.
שגרו ברצועת הביטחון לא חוזרים, אחד מהם לא חוזר, ואל נמצא אותם, אוהב את התקיות, אוהב את הכפרים, ולכן מגן גם על היישובים שלנו בצורה שונה לחלוטין ממה שהיה. אתה יודע למה זה לא כמו רצועת הביטחון שהייתה? כי כשהייתה...
Okay, we're not going to read and watch all of that, but let's go to the money shot. We have flattened the entire first line of villages in southern Lebanon, and all of the houses have been destroyed. Remember, we talked about a Gazification of southern Lebanon? Well, that's no longer stated policy. That is happening. Here is Katz bragging about it yesterday, that he has leveled every house in every village along the front line of the Israeli border. Yes, sir.
I have breaking news from the Iranian foreign minister. The Iranian foreign minister spokesman Ismail says in a comment that the United States bears direct responsibility for the Israeli attacks, citing the first article of the U.S.-Iran MOU, which calls for an end to military operation on all fronts, including Lebanon. He said Iran would take the necessary measures to protect the interests, security, and rights of itself and its allies.
This shit ain't going to happen. Things are going to fall apart. Like I said, decoupling. Will Satire just made an excellent point. He says the Israelis are doing ethnic cleansing and establishing Lebensraum, living space, right? Living room, which, as you know, was a famous policy of the N-words from Germany, which is why they went to all these countries and were wiping people out. This is something that I understand Israel wants to defend themselves, but as an ethical and honorable warrior, which is what I was a sand sailor, right? 40 years on the ground for the most part in the Middle East. You can't just say we're going to wipe out 20 kilometers of villages. You can't do that. But
Malcolm,
they're
don't
going
mention
to.
the N-word. Don't mention the N-word. Did you ever watch Faulty Towers? John
The
Cleese.
N-word.
Don't mention it. Don't mention it.
Hey, listen. As a Jew-hating Mossad agent, which, by the way, for those of you who have not been watching the show the last few days, people have come on and have attacked me from both directions. And I'm either a Jew hater or, as Wajeeh Ali said, I am under the pay of the Mossad.
Oh, not bad.
Do you think them bitches sent me a T-shirt? No.
No.
Do you think I even got a plaque or got to go to the gift shop? No.
No.
I mean, come on. I got more Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad paraphernalia than I got Mossad paraphernalia. That's got to be rebalanced. So which one am I? No, neither. I am a U.S. intelligence professional, and that means I'm in between everybody. I hit you with the reality. So here are some of the commentary that was made. I want to finish the statement made by Katz. We have flattened the entire first line of villages in southern Lebanon. All of these houses have been destroyed. The residents will never see them standing again. I like the analysis. This guy's a real psycho. Unfortunately, I don't know how someone in the Israeli high command has not explained to him that standing structures are not as good for defensive fires as rubble. Rubble and destroyed houses have a defensive multiple of 3 when engaged in combat. Debris and rubble is harder to fight in than a fixed structure that was damaged. Go ahead and figure it. Also, what are you going to do? Keep dropping bombs on piles of rubble? Yes. Okay. Let's move on.
Malcolm, just a little thing here. I don't know if you've seen the post by Ben Gvir, the minister for so-called national security, the extremist. He says all of Lebanon must burn. And for one dead Israeli, 1,000 Lebanese have to die. And, it's a minister in the Israeli government saying stuff like that.
I think we did that on day 112, 2 days ago. That Lebanon must burn. It's in here. But yeah, this is the attitude. I'm sorry. These guys, what are they? They're like, you know what? I think Milosevic had a raw deal, and we need to try to outclass Milosevic and goddamn Ratko Mladic, and maybe we can set a higher standard for going to the International Criminal Court. This is just crazy, guys. This is crazy. It's going to end. You know what? We're going to be in limbo. This is going to be like Operation Southern Watch. We're going to be in the state of ceasefire forever. And I think that the Iranians, now that they know how abject, desperate Trump is, they could push this back 2 weeks and no ships go through, and they can get to that 4-week window of where the United States is going to collapse economically.
Yeah.
Fuck. This is crazy. All right. Anyway, moving back onto this with Katz's Gazification. The state of Hormuz is out of order right now. They have stated to all vessels, if you want to depart through the Iranian traffic separation scheme, which right now every ship is going out through the Iranian traffic separation scheme. They've no limits on who can go out. Only 26 ships went out yesterday, and Trump was like, hundreds are flying through. He's demented. And they all went through the Iranian traffic separation scheme. But now, unlike before, you have to give the IRGC 48 hours notice by sending a message to like a teletype or something in Tehran at IRGC Multipass headquarters, and they will give you an electronic transfer once you send your Trump coin in, and then they will allow you 48 hours to move to the embarkation point, then up through the IRGC traffic separation scheme, and your multi-pass must be good. Oh.
And as a very special service, this notification has been sent out in English, even on the internet. So you can find it on the Persian Gulf Straits Authority website and on social media in English. It is a very good service indeed. 48 hours. We'll make sure it all happens.
I just think that is brilliant that these guys have got their act together so much. Hold on. Is that mine? Oh, someone made this one up for me. That's my multi-pass. I don't know if you guys can see it. That one was made up for me.
Yeah.
So I can go through the Strait of Hormuz as many times as I want, in and out, 48. I don't have to give 48 hours notice anymore. So if you get your IRGC multipass, that's how it looks. Where's the one I had that had Mujtaba al-Khamenei in it? So, but as much fun as we're having, you could be damn sure I'm making up T-shirts with this, or I'm going to actually sell little framed multi-passes of us on us, right? Collector's edition multi-pass. And it says, Mujtaba al-Khamenei and Black Man Spy says, I can go through this frontier. And next thing you know, 2 months later, somebody will say, an American citizen was arrested at the Iranian border. Attempting to cross with a multi-pass.
And it's terrible. We sit here and laugh about it, and it's really terrible. But the thing is, these scoundrels, these terrible terrorists, they're playing us completely because we elect the stupidest political leaders the world has ever seen. And that's why all this shit is happening. So unless we get the maturity to elect someone that can actually use their brains a little, we get played by these terrorists. It's terrible.
Here's the official multi-pass. That was my personal multi-pass. This is the official multi-pass. This is the one that gets you through because it's got Mujtaba al-Khamenei's picture on it, and it says right across the top, IRGC, do not attack. Multi-pass, no mines, no missiles, no drones. So this you should make these things up. Oh, and we accept Trump coin. That's my favorite part right there. We accept Trump coin. Okay, enough fun out of that. Let's listen to some of the other commentary. On the other side, Donald Trump is trying to convince himself and the world that he is the Mahdi, the Messiah, the Messiah. He's already been Jesus Christ. So he's got Christian Messiah covered. So as Jesus, he hasn't been a Muslim Messiah yet, but he's working on Judaism now. Because here's what Trump had to say on the Axios interview yesterday, which was just knucking futs. That's just pretty much it. This video is from the Axios show, all copyright infringement to them. Right? So,
if it weren't for Donald Trump, Israel would have been eviscerated. If it weren't for Donald Trump, and Bibi Netanyahu worked well with me, but he will tell you, we're the ones with the guns, we're the ones with the whole deal, we're the ones with the B-2 bombers, etc. If it weren't for Donald Trump, Israel would have been eviscerated.
His relationship with Netanyahu
It's good, but we have to keep him a little bit sane.
Are you going to be able to control Israel from attacking
A little
Lebanon?
bit sane.
It will be. I mean, no wonder. They have a lot of respect for me, and they do as I say.
They got a lot of respect for me, and they do as I say.
Clearly.
3, 2, 1. I suspect that today the Israelis will hit 200 targets in southern Lebanon, and they will start. I mean, this is crazy. We have to keep him a little bit sane, and that they will do as I say. That is the official statement of the President of the United States about the Prime Minister of Israel. But Iran has another view on it. This is what the New York Times reports is their analysis of the deal, that Trump did catastrophic capitulation. That is the opinion in Israel of Donald Trump. And this is why the Israelis are going to, did I say going to, have completely decoupled from this whole thing. And this means if Israel wants to bombard Tehran, they will. If Israel wants to blast Beirut, they will. And they don't give two Fs about what happens in Geneva.
Israel literally said that we did not sign the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not apply to us. We have nothing to do with the MOU. We did not go there. We did not sign it. We did not understand what was saying. You know, when you tell it, when someone is
Technically
in
all
their
correct.
teenage years and they're like misbehaving, and you're like telling them you're misbehaving, and they're like acting stupid, but I'm a young little kid. I'm a little stupid, and I'm just learning from my mistake. And that's exactly what Israel is doing. It's like, I'm sorry, America. I'm a tiny little teenager. I make stupid mistakes. You should forgive me. That's exactly what Israel is doing. But they're making the worst mistakes ever. They're fucking everything up. The whole economy, world economy, is suffering, and these motherfuckers are the only ones benefiting from this whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, seemingly in response to Iranian Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social 38 minutes ago that the U.S. did not sign the deal out of desperation.
Yeah.
Something Khamenei had alluded to. He freaking literally admitted this at the G7 yesterday. I mean, somebody get Grandpa a binky. He can't remember whether he went to the bathroom in his diapers or if he's got to go out in the lawn. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You want the
Here's
official
the video.
quote?
Here's the quote. Here's the quote.
Oh, you got it.
We didn't meet out of desperation. Iran did. They are finished. We will play out the 60 days. They get no money, not 10 cents. Bitch, what part of they already delivered $12 billion? Did you not understand? Technically, 12 billion more should have been released yesterday at the point of signing the MOU, which means he technically released it on Wednesday. They rich. If I were, by the way, I was in Abu Dhabi once, time for a little aside. And I saw this guy chasing a kid in Emirates Palace, which is not a hotel. It's an actual palace that's run by a hotel chain. And I said, damn, that guy looks like Dave Chappelle. So I get up, because how many black guys do you see at Emirates Palace in T-shirts and Nikes? Right? Not many. So I go over and I go, I go, you Dave Chappelle? And he goes, hey, yeah, how you doing, brother? What brings you here? And I go, I'm a spy. And he goes, I said, what brings you here? He was playing the palace, right? And Dave Chappelle would say, "Bitch, you told us yesterday. What's the matter with you?" And then he'd bring up that clip of Rick James where Rick James say, "Meth is hell of a drug." I mean, what the hell is wrong with Trump? Does he do this? This has got to be for MAGA. It's got to be for MAGA. Because is he trying to convince the world that what he said yesterday on video is not okay? Whatever. They get no money, not 10 cents. There's a signed document that says every penny of their sanctioned money is now released, all of it. And technically, that's $100 billion. They just got $24 billion in cash.
Yeah.
Oh, Mesho. Magnun, as the Egyptians would say, or Majnun, as normal people would say.
Because in the actual MOU, the agreement on the release of frozen assets is not conditioned on that clause that talks about the Israeli withdrawal and all other stuff. Those things are immediate.
Right.
So the Iranians just played Trump completely, knowing full well that the Israelis would likely sabotage this.
An easy play. Okay, it's an easy play.
A very easy play.
Okay, so by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that is the state of the talks, what's going on in Lebanon and what's going on with Israel. Just FYI, the Germans, UK, France, Italy are likely to participate in the mine-sweeping task force that is now heading towards the Persian Gulf. They are just waiting for it, waiting for clearance, and then once things have been settled at the request of the Omanis. You like that? Because that area that they have to sweep is overlapping in both directions, 2 nautical miles to the south of the old traffic separation scheme and to the north. So the Omanis will let them in. They will sweep the main channels of the Gulf. Could take 4 weeks, could take 8 weeks, depending on whether they use bottom mines. And it is very slow. What has not been confirmed, the Americans are not invited, according to this. So the 5 minesweepers we have in the Gulf, the 2 ancient ones that were in Japan that they bought over 8 weeks into the war, and the 3 broke-dick LCS ships, which are trash, are not out there running sweeping. We're using remote drones right now, but they're not very good because they're not full-scale vessels. They're remoted. Okay, so that's it. That's all we have to report there. But I do want to talk about a diplomatic kerfuffle that involves the Prime Minister of Italy. This photograph is a photograph of Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. Arguably, really cute, but a person that we thought early on she was going to be a very hardcore MAGA-style conservative, and she is not. She is as liberal as the French, and of the one thing that she cannot stand more than anything is the smell of Donald Trump. There's photographs of her wrinkling her nose as she turns away, and this photograph that was taken of her giving Trump a piece of her Italian mind is iconic, to say the least. But because Donald Trump cannot suffer any slight, Donald Trump lied to the world on Air Force One that Giorgia Meloni begged him for a photo at the G7 that he, quote, felt sorry for her, unquote. Meloni released a video of her firing back, calling them completely fabricated. Damn, just called him. Frankly, I am frankly appalled. I don't know why the president of the United States behaves this way towards his allies. She added, Trump appears to show more accommodation towards, quote, the enemies of the West than Americans' allies, and concluded by saying, Italy and I never beg. Obviously, look, ladies and gentlemen, I almost married an Italian woman. Okay, let me tell y'all something. I lived in Italy for a few years. I speak Italian. Io parlo italiano. I lived in Sardinia. I lived in Sicily. I lived on the West Coast. I almost married a woman from the Northeast. I lived in Jesolo. Used to hang out in Venice for fun. You cannot tell these women anything. Okay, let me tell you something. You want to know who runs Italy? Women like Giorgia Maloney. And if you're on their good side, somebody said they're Venetian. Okay, a Venetian woman. If you know anything about Italy, women run that country. They're some of the strongest women on the planet, and there is nothing more ruthless than a nonna that is mad at you. Because one, you're not going to eat. And when you're in Italy, you're going to like eating. All right? Two,
Yeah.
all she's going to do is roll her eyes and go, Madonna mia, which means you fucking idiot. Okay? And by the way, they do, in fact, in the North say Mamma Mia. So,
And, every European would say, Donald Trump, that is a schoolboy error.
no.
That's a
No,
schoolboy
first off,
error.
yeah, but you're talking like he actually could
You
understand
amateurish idiot.
that. That
Can I?
finger she's giving you, right? It's one moment from a vaffanculo, right? Or cornuto. She and I don't mean the good luck cornuto. She's gonna kick his ass. I would back away and say, "Can I buy you a double espresso and a cannoli?"
Yeah.
No, this isn't an amateur error. It's just an error. And everything she said more than any leader in Europe would say. Macron tries to cajole him and all the rest of that stuff. Keir Starmer goes back and forth being wishy-washy. She's like, this isn't going to pass with me. All right? You got, oh, okay, that's enough. I'm going to start saying Italian cuss words here in a moment, right? Yikes. So that is where we are in the world. All right? And this is an interesting title.
I have a statement.
Yes, please. We're about to go to questions.
The Israeli military spokesman stated that Hezbollah has violated the ceasefire in an attempt to prevent our forces from destroying the Hezbollah capabilities. Am I crazy to think that statement is funny?
Yeah. It's like saying Hezbollah broke the ceasefires by running into our rockets and our artillery shells. You know, and remember I told you that famous line from Thomas Friedman, a sleepy, Syrian guard could drop his rifle and shoot off one round and it would start a 16-hour Israeli artillery bombardment. That's how they do it. They don't go halfway when a ceasefire is broken. When's that ceasefire break? As soon as I shoot off 40 rounds of high explosive, they're going to be mad. And that means that the ceasefire has started. Okay. Jacob, somebody wants to know if you're awake. He is. He's just so cool. It's mid-afternoon.
What I have noticed is that the Italian deputy prime minister has just canceled a trip to the U.S. because of Trump's comments.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. Italy or the U.S. in June, July of this year, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to Sicily. Okay. I'm going to go down to Sicily. I'm going to go down to Agrigento. I'm going to be having double espressos all day. And I'm just going to stop right there because you guys all know what guys like me do when we go to Italy, right? We start looking for our next wives. Anyway, that being said, I'm going to hear it for that one, by the way. I'm going to hear it.
I know it. I didn't want to say anything about that.
Okay, let's move on to questions. If you haven't figured it out, there was a Substack for questions that was up a little earlier. Boom, 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 boom. Momentis, centi. Whoopa. Oh, my camera went off. Chats. There it is. Wow. I put that up a little while ago. There are 112 questions and comments that have been left. And if you guys have been watching, you notice that I do go back and I do answer those questions. So feel free to go back and take a look at that. Good morning from Toledo. How long before a schism opens between U.S. and Israel? 3 days ago. Actually, according to Israel, 3 weeks ago, when Trump made those statements that he could control Netanyahu, and Netanyahu was not calling the shots. That's when it started. Okay. Question: Is a new war? Is it now a new war with a new countdown? No. You see, we're on day 114 because these guys can't seem to end a war to save their lives, even when people are getting paid bank. Ay, 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 ay.
Yeah.
Has Israel and Israel and Hezbollah start shooting at each other again? Yes. I suspect that little will change between the USA and Iran after 60 days. How do you see it, Jacob?
I see it the same way. I think Israel won't comply, and the Iranians will feel pretty good about themselves, and Trump will be afraid to make military commitments once again. And therefore, the Iranians are in a good place, and Israel is isolated, and it will lead to just more trouble in the Middle East.
Yay. Okay. Moving
Sorry
on.
about that.
Yeah. We don't like to be right, but sorry, we're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Second question. The Strait of Hormuz is open, but urea is not flowing for months. We have missed a complete planting cycle. I'm thinking COVID food riots in Southeast Asia plus food inflation in the West. Your thoughts? By the way, Strait of Hormuz is not open. It's going through the Iranian traffic separation scheme. 300 ships a day is open. 26 ships a day is a trickle, less than 8%. So what do you guys think about urea nitrate food wars?
We said this from the beginning that the Strait of Hormuz is causing hunger across the world. The world is dependent on the Strait of Hormuz for farming, especially that this is what they use to farm, and without it, poor countries can't plant anything. It did cause hunger for hundreds of millions of people, and I'm not surprised that the price went up.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, somebody says that I got the dates wrong. No, it was day 113 yesterday. Every time I update the book right at the top. But it may have been 2 days off. I don't care. Where
But
quantum jumps in space and time. It's you know why? There is such a an overwhelming universe of stupidity happening right now that the laws of space and time are often being waived or merged,
yeah.
almost Doctor Who like. So, you know, I could probably go back in time right now and find every stupid statement Trump has made has been repeated. Okay, regarding Ukraine, do you think that Russian retreat in Crimea is actually feasible in the near term, Jacob?
Near term, let's define. It'll take time. But I think if we look forward 6 months, much could change because the Ukrainians have only just started, and their capacity to manufacture drones will only increase. There are billions and billions of euros flooding into the Ukrainian production system of drones. Only this month is 9 billion euros alone, and 23.8 billion for the rest of this year. So, and when the Ukrainians, in military terms, need to strengthen themselves, it happens quickly because they're at war. and this is about saving lives. So it's not like, it takes them half a year to expand their production capacity, etc., etc. They are really, really good at this. So we've only just started. Whether it will take 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, it is hard for me to judge it at this moment.
Okay. Angel Perez says, are U.S. and Ukrainian intelligence still working together? Yes-ish. And would you agree that Dutch intelligence is extremely good? Yes. I know a little something about Dutch intelligence. Way back when the Russia supposed hoax was going on, and I wrote my first book, Plot to Hack America. When I was doing research for my second book, Plot to Destroy Democracy, by the way, not a hoax, real Russian intelligence operation against the West. Hybrid warfare was really damaging us. And now look what it did. It elected a president twice. The Dutch managed to actually hack into the cameras of the Russian cyber warfare officers that were conducting operations against the United States and got photographs of each of them where we identified them by name and their logins so that when the indictment went forward against the Russian intelligence agency for hacking the Democratic National Committee and attempting to hack the U.S. election, we had their names and photographs. The Dutch intelligence agencies did that. I'm pretty sure the Dutch have cut us off because we immediately outed that. That was under Trump. So, and Trump essentially works for the Russians. So, people have to, nations have to make determinations of what they're doing. I'm sure they're still putting out reports on the number of poppies growing in Afghanistan, but they're not telling the United States anything important that would damage their own security. Jacob, what do you think?
I think the exact same thing. I didn't know that the Dutch had actually managed to do that back in 2016. But it's like that. I will say about Ukraine, they don't rely as much on U.S. intelligence as they did. And neither does the rest of Europe, because there's also some decoupling going on. Our viewers will know that a certain former director of national intelligence, Tulsi, she had certain sympathies. So, of course, the Europeans have been quick to decouple somewhat. So especially on Russia, I think we're in a new reality now with European intelligence agencies being much more autonomous.
Okay. There's a comment here from Zahava Malka. Malcolm, please expand on Zev Jabotinsky's and his ideology. This is the peace through strength clown show Ben Gavir is pushing. Every time Hegseth says peace through strength, I know Netanyahu is in our government. Look, these guys, they don't understand the words. They literally don't understand that they're coming off as fools when they say this. It's not peace through strength. It's peace through diplomacy. They don't even understand the fundamentals of von Clausewitz, that war is politics by other means, and that the purpose of war is the purpose of imposing your will upon an enemy. And right now, the person who has imposed their will upon their enemy is Iran in literally every circumstance. They've got us dictating to Israel to knock it off. Doesn't sound like winning. All right.
Not very much.
God. Okay, I will leave you with our multipass. I've got to head down to New York. I want to thank you guys for coming to Black Man Spy Podcast today. We will be back tomorrow from the Blue Room, my writing office in New York, where it is nice and hot. And I just want to thank you for watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, come over to Substack and join. And for those of you who have not subscribed to Wajeeh or Jacob, please press that button up there and don't hit unsubscribe. Hit subscribe. These guys need more followers. Somehow we have fallen to number 11 in world politics. And I think that's just because, yeah, that's just because people are getting tired of the war. And I would like to take a vacation too. But there's like 6 major news agencies above me. So how do I knock France 24 off of there, right? So that being said, pretty sure this is a pretty good position anyway, considering we were at 56 when the war started. So thank you all for coming here. If you would like to become a paid subscriber to support our work, please become a paid subscriber. It's just $7. I'm asking you as a favor. We will be starting tomorrow. I will be announcing a GoFundMe for the International Legion Sustainment Fund, which is, as you know, gas prices in Ukraine for the Army are up to $12 per gallon for gasoline. So we are raising money for my battalion, that is out of the 92nd Brigade. They have been removed from the relatively quiet Kharkiv front and sent to the full-scale, hot-ass Donbass front, where they are in combat every day. Killed 5 Russians yesterday. So there's still actual infantry combat going on. We also support a drone hunter-killer team that has already shot down 6 Shaheeds in the last week. We're buying them new laptops to Shaheed a kill on that. And I will be putting that out tomorrow, the GoFundMe for the International Legion Sustainment. None of this comes to me. It all goes straight to the Team Jedi Battalion, and that is on the Donbass front. And they will be putting up pictures and thank yous and all sorts of stuff. But this is your way, now that Russia and its front may be cracking, this is your way to get your licks in and to get to the Crimea beach party that we're going to all be holding in Sevastopol, right? Which needs to be made Zelenskyburg or something cool like that, right? Zelenskyville.
Zelensky Pole.
Zelensky Pole. That's a good name. I think we should change the name of that city there. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. We will see you tomorrow. And take care, and don't watch the news. You'll just drive you crazy. But if you want,
See you tomorrow.
go to Wajeeh's question and answer.
Go watch me. Come over.
All right. See you
Come
tomorrow.
over to Wajeeh.